All right, Lauren, question number 3 for the night. This is a question that I follow AEW through the news. Mm-hmm. I read about it on news sites, and I'm up to date enough to just have kind of a finger on the pulse of what's going on.
Okay.
But the question that I wanted to answer was, what would it take to get me to start watching AEW regularly again?
Okay.
And I don't think this is going to piss the IWC off, this topic, because I can tell you I'm going to say things once again that they don't want to look in the mirror and see. AEW is not a horrible product. Mm-hmm. It's just such a niche product for this bubble of wrestling fans who are so pretentious, and they feel the need to overhype every little thing that is just not on the magnitude that they want it to be. They want to overhype the flips. They want to overhype the bad promos. They want to overhype all of the negative. They want to take all of the people who couldn't cut it in WWE and tell us why they're going to be so successful when they get to AEW. I've tried, Lauren, on numerous occasions to watch AEW consistently. There's been 2 or 3 times where I've tried to pick back up and just go, all right, I need to watch this. If I'm going to talk about it, I need to watch it consistently. But it's just too hard to follow. Like, as a casual wrestling fan, as somebody who's not going to go back and research 20 years of New Japan Pro Wrestling, someone who's not going to read Tony Khan's Twitter all the time, the show just feels too hard to follow. The show.
Is that what they expect, is for us to follow Twitter?
I think it's an element of it, right? Because I almost feel like you have to see where Tony Khan's excitement is coming from to understand what the event is being put on in front of you. And even when I do watch, it tends to feel like this out of order mess, right? And maybe it's because I see MJF as the face of AEW, but he comes on in the fucking second 30 minutes of the show, and I'm like, well, why is he not the main event? Why is he not the last thing I see? And then the last thing I see is 2 guys that I have no fucking clue who they are or why I'm supposed to care about them. So for one, they're gonna have to fix, and I know this is the argument, well, everything doesn't have to be the WWE way. You're right, it doesn't have to be the WWE way. But when you look at who's selling tickets globally,
true,
maybe you want to do things a little bit the WWE way.
Yeah.
If that's your goal, if your end goal is to be as big as WWE, that's what you do. If their goal is to be a niche product, they're doing it well, but I just don't think that's what they try to present themselves. The second problem is every time I turn on AEW, somebody's bleeding.
Yeah.
For no fucking reason. No particular reason. Somebody's getting cut with a pizza cutter. Somebody got hit with a light tube. Somebody's bleeding. A girl's bleeding. A boy's bleeding. They got to clean the mats. Then someone bleeds the next match. Like, it just feels like an overused element of wrestling that is supposed to be for dramatic effect. I have a hard time turning on the TV and watching a show where a guy cuts another guy, then lays underneath him and drinks the blood.
That was so disgusting.
But you're going to have a hard time convincing me that's something I need to watch on a weekly basis, when at any moment, that's some shit that could happen.
What do you tell your kid when they say that? It is not okay to drink blood.
Like that's not okay. and maybe you shouldn't let your kids watch AEW. Yeah. Maybe that's the formula. But whatever. And the third problem I have is that there's a Mean Girls Club.
Yeah.
And you can pretend like that doesn't exist, but it obviously exists. Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, these people are in positions of power within a company that they actively are entertainers for. There's no way you can explain to me how that works. Mm-hmm. How any of these people who are obviously not selfless people, it's obvious they're not selfless people. How are they ever going to put other people before them? Especially people that they don't particularly like.
Yeah.
So you have a company that's run by a Mean Girls Club. You have a company where people drink each other's blood. You have a company where the shows are completely out of order. And excuse me if this is offensive, but you have an autistic owner who fucking screams too much when he comes out, and he makes way too many announcements that aren't worth announcing.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, that is just That is the problem with AEW. I'm not particularly fond of a roster of wrestlers who the IWC swear are the best in the world, but I can't get behind. I can't get behind Jon Moxley. I don't think he's that fucking great. I think Eddie Kingston fucking sucks.
I do too.
Like, they keep telling me he's this tough guy, but everything I read about Eddie Kingston is him fucking crying about somebody being mean to him.
He looks like he should be a car salesman.
He does look like a New York car salesman.
So, like, we were talking about the Mean Girls.
Yeah.
Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and all of them. They remind me of, like, those older people that are like, I'm still trying to be cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I the long hair. I almost feel like they're stuck in, like, the 80s. I don't know if they were born in the 80s or what.
Well, I mean, Jericho, no lie, is still good at what he does.
Yeah.
But he's not as good as he believes he is the problem. And I think that is the delusion of what Chris Jericho is, and that maybe what makes him as good as he is. But the problem is nobody in that company is as good as the IWC wants to make them seem or as they think they seem. But here's the thing. The question is, what would make me watch AEW again? First answer. You got to raise the height limit to ride the ride. They've got to be bigger. Like, I cannot watch a show where I feel like in the physical form I'm in right now, which is completely out of shape, I could still get in the ring and whoop 75% of the AEW roster's ass. No problem. Darby Allin, fucking whooping his ass.
Oh,
Jungle Boy, I'm whooping his ass. John Silver, it looks like he's a spark plug, but I still think I could whoop his ass. He's little. Adam Cole, I'm whooping his ass. 5'5", 5'6", they're not fucking with me. Sorry. You got to raise the height to ride the ride.
Britt Baker does.
They've got to find bigger wrestlers. They have to. That you can't, Jungle Boy can't be the biggest guy on your show. And when you're bringing out the Big Show and he's leaning to the left, it just doesn't work. Like, they have to find bigger wrestlers. They have to go and search out, stop going to churches and indie gyms and finding these 5'6" guys who more importantly should be in the fucking circus than being in a wrestling ring, and go find some real college football players and college athletes and intertwine them into your company so you could have some grown-ass men wrestling. Because I just can't get behind a dude who wears fucking jean shorts with leggings underneath and paints his fucking face. Like, that's cool. He's a great element of the fucking show, but hey, I got something. 3 or 4 fucking years ago, everybody told me Darby Allin was going to be a world champion. What the fuck happened there, guys? What happened there, IWC? It's 4 years after I first said that, and they all argued with me, and he's no fucking closer to being a world champion.
That's true. That's crazy to think it's been that long.
Let's go number 2.
Okay.
The shows have to have a better pace. It's all over the place. Like, when I'm watching AEW, MJF needs to end the show every week. He's not champion anymore, so I don't know what the fuck you do now. But when MJF was champion, he should have ended the show every week. That's how wrestling's supposed to be. Wrestling is a crescendo. It is supposed to ramp up. Your champion should be on last. That is how your biggest match should be on last. Don't give me 2 Japanese wrestlers to end the show. I get that the IWC gets a fucking hard on for that shit, but that's not for me. If you want casual fans to watch, your show has to end with 2 guys that we can pronounce the fucking name. That's it. All right. Number 3.
All right.
Overexpansion. They got to reel it in a little bit. I can't watch one night of AEW wrestling. You think I'm going to watch 3 fucking nights of AEW wrestling?
3 nights?
You think I'm going to watch fucking Wednesdays, Dynamite, which is the only show that I guess is tolerable? Then you have Friday Night Rampage, which is just complete bullshit. And you have Saturday Night Collision, which was supposed to be CM Punk's show. Oh, but you ran him out of fucking town. Like, you spread out this shit through the week. You can't thin out something that's already thinned out. And that's what they're doing. They've got to shut down, fold up Collision, fold up Rampage, take the best of the best and put them on Dynamite and start rebuilding from there. Let's not throw in the fact that they cross over with Ring of Honor because Tony Khan went and bought that toy set. And so now you have 4 fucking brands of wrestling, essentially, or 4 shows, 4 hours. I don't fucking know when Ring of Honor comes on, but you have all of these different shows of wrestling, and I don't think one of them's worth the shit. So I think my biggest issue, let's go the only one that really fucking matters is Tony Khan.
Yeah.
He just needs to shut the fuck up. Like, I think Tony Khan and the IWC, that's the biggest turnoffs when it comes to watching AEW. When I first got back into wrestling about 4 years ago, I was holding the AEW pom-poms.
We were excited.
I was talking about, and then I heard Tony Khan talk. And then I heard the IWC start telling me how I wasn't allowed to be a fan because I didn't like it for the right reasons.
What reasons were you supposed to like it?
Oh, you're supposed to like the technical flips, and you're supposed to fall in love with Kenny Omega. And if you don't worship the church of Kenny Omega, then you shouldn't be a fan. They didn't like it because I liked Luchasaurus. They didn't like it because I thought Orange Cassidy was really fun to watch.
Too.
They didn't like it because I made fun of Darby Allin. I said all the things that they didn't want to hear, which in a normal situation, that breeds conversation, which breeds competition, which it's fun to go back and forth, but they just immediately get angry. And when they get angry, it's no fun to go back and forth with them. I can argue with WWE fans all day because it's pleasant. It's a back and forth. It's a, you don't like this person, I don't like this person, here's why, understood, we can move on, right? We go on, we do something with our life. The problem with the IWC is they live and breathe the shit. They're in their mom's basement just pounding away, fucking tweeting at Paige, trying to get a fucking date with Saraya or Britt Baker, fucking, I don't know. Just jacking off the fucking Will Ospreay matches in Japan where he's dropping motherfuckers on their head, almost breaking their neck. They're getting off to people drinking each other's blood. Like, that's why I can't watch AEW, right? I can't get behind an owner who just like bitches and complains and cries and gets on Twitter. And I don't know if you know, Tony Khan called out Jinder Mahal this week.
No, why?
Because, so this is how fucked up it is. The USA Network got on Twitter and took a shot at Tony Khan. They made fun of like the cage match rating system and made fun of an AEW rating of a match. And Tony Khan got pissed off and went after Jinder Mahal and was like, well, how does it make sense that someone who hasn't won a match in 365 days is getting a title shot? Because it's scripted, you stupid fuck.
Yeah.
Because records don't matter. This is professional wrestling. Like, it's never mattered. And if you want it to matter, then you actually have to make it matter in your company as well, which it doesn't. But how about instead of complaining about what WWE is doing, about what USA is tweeting about, how about you fix your women's division, which is in utter fucking disarray? How about you reel in your fucking Mean Girls Club so that you don't run off your top merchandise seller of 2023? Like, how about you just pay attention to what you have going on and worry about and focus on your product and making your product as good as it can be? I don't know if Tony Khan is so fucking delusional that he still believes that he is running neck and neck with WWE, but I have to say, there was a time, maybe about a year and a half ago, that I think when Triple H and Vince McMahon were making decisions, they were definitely looking over their shoulder. What's AEW going to do? How are they going to respond to this? I think by zero means at this point in time does Triple H even recognize that AEW exists. I think he looks at them as a sub company that he can pluck talent from at any point that he wants. And that's how he sees. He does not see them as competition anymore. And I think that kills Tony Khan inside. Tony Khan came out and said, I'll compete till the day I die. You're not competing anymore. And until those things can change, until the IWC stops worshiping Kenny Omega, until Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks stop running the company, until you quit telling me that Jon Moxley and Darby Allin are the greatest wrestlers in the world, I can't foresee a world where I can watch AEW on a consistent basis.
Yeah.